All right, you guys, so about a year ago, I drove a Marque GTI and I titled that video, Why 90% of Golf R owners actually really only need a GTI. What a lot of you guys may have pointed out in the comments, or maybe you didn't know, at that time, I had not driven a Marque Golf R. It's a little bit irresponsible, I feel like, on my part. So behind me is a Marque Golf R. We're here with Frank from PG Performance. We're gonna talk to Frank, we're gonna talk to Paul. These guys have been kind enough to bring out a 6-speed Golf R, which is incredibly special. It's got a couple mods on it, but as you guys know, VW is no longer gonna be making the GTI or Golf R in 6-speed after 2024. But the main focus of today's video is, should you step up from a GTI to a Golf R? Is it worth it? Was I completely wrong in titling that video? Was it clickbait? Today we're gonna go find out. Let's go for a drive. This is good timing actually, because last month, of course, I was in Vegas with Adam from Van City Audi, and we drove the new 8Y RS3, which effectively has the same rear differential that this car has. And what that does is send up to 50% of the torque to the rear, and then 100% of that torque to either the left or right wheel. Of course, if we hit the R button on our haptic feedback buttons here on the steering wheel, we bring up our drive modes, of which we have a few, especially because this does have the performance pack, which unlocks drift mode. And to do that, we just hit drift mode. We're not gonna do that right now because it's not really necessary. We're gonna start out in race. I've got traction control in sport, so it should allow for a little bit of slip. Effectively, the Haldex controller, the Haldex unit, is gone here. And in certain scenarios, like if you were launching this car or an RS3 in a certain scenario where the front wheels would have a little bit of slip, yes, more than 50% of the torque would be sent to the rear. But if you have grip, and in most scenarios here on the street or on the track, it will only send up to 50% to the rear. The Golf R tries to do everything, everywhere, all at once. That's exactly what this car is made to do. Now, same with the Integra Type S. The GR Corolla, not so much. It's a little bit more hardcore, but the Golf R, from its onset, the Mark 6 Golf R, was built, and before that, of course, the R32s, but it was built to be the last daily driver you would ever need. And naturally, when I drove the Mark 8 GTI, it felt right at home with the DSG. It feels like the car was built for and around that transmission. And so I'm really curious just to see how this manual, how natural it feels in the Golf R right out of the gate. I mean, this is a fast car. Stock 315 horsepower, right about the same amount of torque. Of course, 2-liter E888. Direct injected inline 4 turbo. It's got a bigger turbo than the GTI. Lots of pops and crackles. Here we have a Miltech exhaust. Wow! It just continuously pulls. The GTI has more of a torquey mid-range feel to it. Is that unnecessarily loud? You guys tell me. I don't know. It was also kind of fun watching the exhaust baffles open and close from behind the car. The outer two will effectively, when you're just cruising, they're closed. So right now we're not getting bad drone, a little bit of drone, but not too bad. And then when you get on the gas, even just a little bit, they open right there pretty seamlessly. And then after it's popped a couple times, it's like, okay, party off. Let's shut her down, close the club for the night, and then you can just drive home in peace. Couple cracks on the shift. plenty quick. And this one does have a racing line piggyback on it. So we're looking at about 40 extra horsepower and 60 pound-feet. This is what a stock Golf R should feel like in terms of power, straight up. Traction's like keeping the rear end in check, which is something I've never experienced in a Golf. That's pretty fun. Yeah, it wants to get sideways. Love that. So much grip, power on rotation.
Well, today I have a 2023 Volkswagen Golf R, and it's been a joy to drive so far, but I do plan on doing some mods and making it better. At first when we got it, it was really boring because I drove it home and it just felt like a stock car. It didn't really have any wow factor to it, right? So it is more fun to drive right now. We've lowered it as well on racing line springs, so it gives it a little bit of a, different character. I had one back in the day, and I've had GTIs. They're fun to drive, but here sometimes we get snow, we get rain, and it's really fun to just have that four-wheel drive. I think the biggest thing that I enjoy about this car is the fact that it is a manual, 100%. If I wanted to go fast all the time, I would definitely get a DSG, but since Volkswagen decided not to do the manuals anymore, that was kind of my thing. I'm like, you know what? If I'm gonna get one, I want to enjoy driving it, and I enjoy driving a manual, so here we are. Well, we've been in business since 1980. My dad started the company, and I run it now, obviously. We predominantly do a lot of performance. A lot of it is more bolt-on stuff. We do some engine upgrades and whatnot, like JH Motorsports coming out with a supercharger. They don't really have instructions for it. I don't know if you can say that, but
why don't they have instructions?
Well, because they just released the kit, and we were one of the first people to jump on it and get it. I guess our customer was excited about it. He wanted it. We're the first people to get this kit outside of JH, and here we are helping them kind of piece together the instructions on how to put this thing together. So it's been interesting. We're getting there slowly, but it's a fun process for sure. And I'm super excited about the end product. That's gonna be the tried and true gem once that's done. So, the Mark IV has always been my favorite chassis that Volkswagen came out with, and the Mark IV R32 was just a pure gem. And that Mark IV being a manual, it was just such a joy to drive. I truly enjoy driving those vehicles, and unfortunately they're old and they're hard to find nowadays, but
Can I drift it?
it's only got 1,400 K, so I'd prefer not. We'll definitely be tuning this before the warranty is up for sure. So I'm super excited to try that out, because apparently these things have forged internals and they should be able to take a lot of power. So I'm excited to see what we can push out of this monster. So
Awesome.
Thank you.
Looking forward to it.
Me too.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
Great shifter feel. The shifter feels great, and VW has come such a long way in terms of how their shifter feels. Is it as precise as the Integra Type S? No, it's also, the throw is a little bit longer, but at the same time, it's more catered to daily driving. The GR Corolla has a ridiculously short and notchy shifter, which is almost a little bit too hardcore for daily driving, but there's traction control. It's kind of boring to look at. It's completely livable. There's no sacrifices here. There's nothing really too crazy going on the interior. It's trying fake carbon fiber fabric on the seats. I could do without that. The seats themselves are phenomenal here. Of course, you get way better materials than you do in the GTI. The fit and finish is right up there with the Integra Type S. So the reason I said that the rear end stepping out there on throttle, God, that is such a great feeling. That's the biggest differentiation between how the GTI and the Golf R feel, and this is exactly why I said that 90% of Golf R owners really only need a GTI, because how often is your average run-of-the-mill Golf R owner, especially with a DSG, really pushing their car and leaning into the all-wheel drive system. That's where the Golf R shines. You're really paying that extra $10,000+ to get the all-wheel drive system. The GTI is such a precision kind of scalpel of a vehicle that if you're like 7/10 or below, it feels all-wheel drive. It pulls out of corners phenomenally. The grip is great. It's incredibly precise. There's not a whole lot of torque steer. And when there is, it's linear, it's predictable, it's manageable. And let's be honest, most of the people who buy Golf Rs are not pushing their vehicles. So in my mind, it's like, hey, well, why not just save the extra money you could put into mods and whatever else? This vehicle has its place, and it does feel, when you're out here pushing it even a little bit, you know, the rear torque differential has transformed the car. I mean, side by side, a Mark 6 to a Mark 8, it's night and day what these cars feel like. And the pull, what a gem of a car. It's almost too good. The interior is where you're gonna find the sore points, and that comes back to the haptic feedback that's been illuminated ad nauseum. I don't need to talk about it. You guys know how that stuff works. The screens and the infotainment, it takes a little bit to get used to. I haven't used it a whole ton, but it's not my favorite. The clutch feel is good. There could be a little bit more like pickup feel, but the clutch weight is awesome. The brake feel is pretty good. There's still quite a bit of driver feel. And the steering too. You get quite a bit of feedback still from the steering, not to the level of the Integra Type S. That car blew me away in terms of how much tire and road was coming through the steering. But if you're up here in the Pacific Northwest, you want to have fun in the snow, that's something that this car does that the GTI will not do. You'll be able to drift this car. You'll be able to keep up with STIs and Evos, and that's kind of where the spirit of the car lies. So thank you guys so much for watching. This has been a lot of fun. Thank you so much, PG Performance, Paul and Frank. You guys are just incredibly hospitable. This has been so much fun. And yeah, you guys know where to find me. I'll put everybody's social media in the description. We'll see you soon. Wow, what a great key.
Yeah, film it too if you want.
Hyundai, you could get some notes from VW, I feel like. Nice.
Yeah.
Frank, GTI or Golf R? Should most people get a GTI?
My take on it is really because I drive a GTI and the sound of the engine is really different. So me personally, I would go GTI because there's a bit more depth to the sound of the engine, which I really like because I come from a Subaru world and we all know the equal length and unequal length headers rumble. The Golf R power-wise, amazing. For 20,000 more, I don't think I would go that route. GTI with 20 grand of mods,
Yeah.
instead of a Golf R with stock everything. This is just my take. So listen, if you got the money and you want to go into a Golf R, the gain after software install is incredible.
Incredible,
You gain
yeah.
more power. You gain 110 horsepower,
That's
which is
crazy.
unheard of.
And you can put it down in the lower gears.
You can, yeah.
And I guess you'll find out too this winter, being a skier, like, will the front wheel drive be enough? But most of that is just good tires,
And
to be
good
honest.
driving. Not gonna lie, I'm from Montreal, so
It's
like, let's
true,
be
yeah.
real. I know momentum plays a big role when you have a lowered car in the winter. Also,
Yeah.
yes, all-wheel drive.
I was looking for my camera and then I realized you had it.
All right, brother. Nice filming.
Absolutely, anytime.
Take care, bro.